Let's run it back to the 90s, early 2000s, TV and movie marketing. First off, I'd like to welcome everybody back to the channel, and I really appreciate all the feedback that I'm getting from all of you. Today, I'm going to take you back to the NBA, to the early 90s NBA and their marketing, starting with the NBA on NBC. If you grew up through the 1990s and early 2000s and you watched NBA basketball, I know you watched the NBA on NBC. For some reason, the basketball now has lost that imagination that we got as kids watching the NBA. And it was the reason why we watched the NBA was because of Michael Jordan and the great basketball stars of the 90s. But the stuff that really got us to watch it was stuff like this behind us. The great marketing that the NBA did with the NBA on NBC, CBS Sports, and other NBA programs that I will show you throughout the video. But the number one reason we woke up on Sunday morning to watch basketball was the imagination and the goosebumps that we would get from things like this.
The Chicago Bulls, now on the verge of such an emphatic run of excellence that they believe no one will be able to deny them a place on the short list of all-time great NBA teams. The Chicago Bulls, nearing the end of an extraordinary basketball odyssey, and believing, to a man, that tonight is the night.
Bob Costas' voice before any introduction to the NBA game was almost like you were living the dream of the NBA. Like you were there. It felt like you were there when Bob Costas spoke to you before the intro of the NBA on NBC that we all love. Bob Costas speaking with his voice and telling us the story and storytelling, which is the most important thing I think in anything like sneakers when it comes to history. But the storytelling that Bob Costas would throw at you before the intro of the NBA on NBC really got you into the mood to watch the game. And they don't do that anymore. If you watch the NBA on ABC now, they do not, I don't know if they have a terrible production company doing their marketing, but it has nothing on NBA on NBC. The intro on the NBA NBC made you dream, it made you want to be a basketball player, it made you want to get up in the morning and watch the game. And here is a few samples of what I'm talking about.
Come back and play again. Maybe that's what I want to do. Maybe that's the challenge that I may need someday down the road.
And that day has arrived. Michael Jordan warming up at Market Square Arena more than 3 hours before today's scheduled tip-off. 21 months have passed since Michael Jordan last played competitive basketball. For 21 months, the NBA was without its supreme artist. There may be many interesting peripheral aspects to both his departure and return, but at the heart of it is simply this: the best in the world is back. And in a sports world darkened by constant talk of money, strikes, and lockouts, here's a shining reminder of why we're drawn to sports in the first place. The drama, the anticipation, the sheer beauty of the moment. Today, an artist returns to his true canvas, the hardboard courts of the NBA. Michael Jordan is back.
Now, after you heard the words of Bob Costas or Marv Albert and telling you the story, the rivalry between the two teams, such as the Bulls-Knicks or the Celtics-Lakers, then came the most memorable thing of the 90s NBA and their NBA marketing and the NBA game itself was the intro to the NBA on NBC. That doesn't give you goosebumps before a basketball game and pump you up to watch the game itself, I don't know what does. written by John Tesh, a famous musician, also well known for his hosting of Entertainment Tonight in the early 90s. He actually came up with this tune as he was asked by NBC to write a jingle for the NBA, and he actually came up with this song while he was in his hotel room.
And the most unusual way came to me when I was in Europe about 4 or 5 years ago. I was trying to write a sports theme, and I did not have a piano in the hotel where I was staying, so I did probably what many of you have done, faced with a similar situation. I called my answering machine at home, and I left a message for myself. And although that sounds goofy, what happened was that theme that I sang into the machine is the theme that they play every time the Chicago Bulls crush another basketball team.
And that's how the NBA on NBC intro was created. He actually named it the Round Ball Rock. And you can actually look it up on YouTube. Look under Round Ball Rock under John Tesh. The intro song to NBA on NBC was so popular that they actually did a parody on Saturday Night Live, and how the making of the song came to be. And here's a little
All
bit.
right, fire away.
All right, ready to do this?
Yes, I am.
All right, 2, 3, 4.
Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it! Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it!
Now, throughout the 90s and early 2000s, that was the early introduction of VHS and DVD. But most of the NBA videos that you would get would be on VHS. And most of the time they would be on rentable VHSs at your local Blockbuster or Jumbo Video. Luckily, I got to acquire almost every NBA video probably ever made. And the reason I got them all is because of our local Blockbuster closing, and they were having blowout sales of all their videos. Most people were looking at videos of, movies and stuff, but I was searching the sports section for all the old sports videos. So I got a pretty good collection of NBA videos from back in the early 90s. They don't really do the NBA video anymore, and you have to watch a documentary or something on Netflix or anything like that, but they don't have a championship video. They don't do a promotion of the championship videos like they did in the early 90s, early 2000s. Here's a few examples of what I'm talking about. And they gave me goosebumps every time I heard or watched these videos. Before watching the NBA game on Sunday, there was a show on Saturday which also gave you the vibes that made you want to wake up every morning and watch these shows. That show I'm talking about was NBA Inside Stuff. And here's their intro.
Check this out.
The killer crossover.
4. What's up?
The second down!
You like my hat? 3.
Jordan on the drive.
Jam.
Did someone say jam session?
Here comes Sir Charles.
2, 1, lift off.
Hold on, folks. Buckle up.
And if this intro doesn't get you pumped up to watch NBA basketball, I don't know what will. But this show came on early for NBC and their Saturday morning cartoons. This show came on usually it was for the teenagers who got up early, but I don't know who the heck was getting up early. So I was recording these and watching them later in the day. One of my favorite things of that original NBA intro was that dunk by Larry Johnson at the end, and you see the piece of glass come into the frame and shatter. Now the NBA on NBC, their contract I believe was for 10 years, and they moved on to ABC. When you watch the games on ABC, they don't have the pump up intros like they did using Bob Costas and Marv Albert and so on, getting you to want to watch the intro. Now their intro on ABC during I think it was the playoffs or the finals, was kind of cool, where they went through all the history and showed all the players walking towards the arena, and you see Jordan. But whoever was the marketing director of NBA on NBC back in the early 90s really knew his stuff and really knew how to pull at your heartstrings to watch your favorite team play that Sunday afternoon. An honorable mention of a great intro in the early 90s, 2000s, when the NBA expanded into the Canadian market. The NBA could be played on CTV, which was I believe they were like a sister-brother relationship between CTV, which is a TV program up in Canada, like NBC in the United States. But on the CTV program, they would play the Toronto Raptors and Vancouver Grizzlies games, and we would have our own intro, very similar to the NBA on NBC, where they kind of took the same concept, where they made you want to watch the Canadian basketball. And what they did was they used the voice of Rod Black, which is a very known sports commentator up here in Canada, and he would do the intros kind of like the Bob Costas style, and he would speak before our intro of the NBA on CTV, which went like this.
Seemingly headed in two different directions. The Suns, once so powerful, have struggled this season. They sit 11 and a half games back in the Pacific Division. The Bulls have been the NBA's best team all year. With Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman all at the top of their games, they've only suffered 3 losses all season and are on a 14-game win streak. Today, the Suns hope to rise again as they try to run with the Bulls.
In my opinion, it's almost as good as the NBA on NBC. But hopefully, now that the NBA's contract with ABC is done, maybe NBC will pick it up again and bring the hype, bring the passion, the love of basketball back to the viewers that want to watch it on television again, rather than just watching highlights on YouTube or whatnot. Or what do you guys think about the NBA on NBC in the early 90s? Do you think it was as impactful as the game itself? Because I do. I think without the NBA on NBC, Michael Jordan wouldn't be as popular as he is without the marketing that the NBA on NBC did around basketball, Michael Jordan, and all the other teams in the NBA. And I thank NBA on NBC for giving us ways to dream.